Getting more stuff done in a day is vital for most mortgage advisors to be successful. And it's probably the most asked question I get is, how do I manage my diary better and how do I get more done? And so in today's episode, I want to break down everything I do and everything I've taught my clients to do in order to get the most out of their day and be way more productive. Let's do it. So the first thing is separating my day. In order to get the most done, I separate my day into 3 parts. And I recommend this for all my advisors to do the same, who I work with, and I recommend you to do the same if you're trying to get more out of your day. The mistake that many people make is that they go through their day, they wake up, they're very reactive. So they jump in and they're just like, wake up in the morning, they check their phone, and they go through their day. Oh, I'll go and do some work, I'll open my laptop, I'll answer some emails, I'll watch some YouTube, I'll scroll on social media. I don't do that. So my day, pretty much 7 days a week, even on weekends, there's a kind of a slight variation on weekends. This day is broken into 3 things: on the business, in the business, and personal. So on the business stuff is the first thing I do. So for example, with me, I wake up in the morning, 6 a.m., I go to the gym. Now the reason that the gym is on the business is that's where I listen to all my CPD content. So any stuff about the mortgage industry, stuff with the FCA, stuff with marketing, stuff with AI, stuff with sales, all of this takes place in the gym while I'm working out. It's all work-related stuff. I come home, I go straight into the studio, and I start making content. And so I make content for an hour in the studio every morning. That's my marketing. Then from there, I then do an hour on something business related, meaning it could be creative, it could be writing up proposals, it could be maybe optimizing the website, it could be adding something to the website, it could be optimizing testimonial, whatever it may be. So I do an hour on marketing and an hour on business work. So that means that by 11 o'clock for me, I have done everything I need to do on my business. If I don't speak to a single client, I still have pushed the business forward. This is exactly the same for you. It would be, have you got the applications off your desk, or have you done your marketing? Have you done the things that you know are going to grow your business significantly in the morning? Then from 11 till 6, I have in the business work. This is reactive work. This is client facing work. And so this is calls with clients. And what I do with this, I do an hour on, hour off rule. Everyone's a bit different, but I have a significant buffer time so that you don't overrun into meetings. There's nothing worse than someone going, oh, I've got a meeting let's say it's 11 o'clock and then it goes to 12. And now you've got a meeting back to back at 12. That's a big mistake. And one of the worst things you can do as an advisor to try and manage a diary. You should always have sufficient time between, half an hour minimum. Hour is ideally the best place. And that gives you enough time to be able to regroup, maybe overrun if you need to on a call, get the close everything up that needs to be done on the call. So anything that's okay, I'm going to send you this stuff, you can send it straight away, get ready, open the file for the next one. So I do an hour on, hour off, and I've done this for years. I never feel overworked. I'm speaking to 25 people a week and I don't ever feel burnt out. Like, it's mad. So this is great. And that's my in the business work. So that's client facing. And then the evening after comes 7 is when so I've got 7 till 6 till 7 is like a closing the day. And then from there, I move into personal. And from 7 o'clock onwards, I don't do anything to do with work. Work is done. It's family time. Take my kids for a bath, put them to bed, walk the dog, watch junk on TV, whatever it may be, but it allows me to then decompress, ready for the next day. That is my day. And this is the thing that I see people talk about, is it's like, how do I get work-life balance? And you get balance by, in my opinion, by putting all these things in together. Your diary should have all these things in your day. What is your perfect day? Alex Hormozi said it once, where he said the idea that he says success is trying to string together the perfect day and string it together over and over again. That's all I do with mine. What would be my perfect day? The next thing I would say, if you want to get a lot done and you want to understand your time management, you need to understand Parkinson's law. It's like a goldfish grows to the size of its bowl kind of concept, meaning we will fill a task with the time it takes that's available to us. So if you give yourself an hour to do something that takes 10 minutes, then it will take an hour. If you give yourself a day to do something that will take, again, 5-10 minutes, then you'll take a day. Give yourself enough time to get the job done, but with enough pressure for you to stay focused. And this is one that I observe in myself doing sometimes very well and sometimes very badly, is that I'll have days where, let's say if I have 3 or 4 clients cancel in a day, which is very rare, but it does sometimes happen, as in they'll cancel or reschedule. They are the worst days for me because I get nothing done. Yeah, on days where everything's packed in, I get all of the work done. I get the YouTube content out. I get the podcast out. I get all of the content that goes on things out. I respond to emails. I respond to WhatsApps. I deal with clients. But if I've got a day where I'm like, I've got 1 client in, I don't do anything. And I'm sure you listening to this, you probably have a similar thing. So when you understand this, you want to think, okay, how do I get myself in a situation where I am always going to be pressed for time without stressing myself out. So you don't stress yourself, which is why I like this idea of separating the day. So you're not stressing yourself out. You allow that time, but you are going, I'm putting a level of manufactured pressure on myself to stop it. I do this all the time. It's like when the diary's empty, I'll try and fill it. That's when I normally might do discovery calls. Even if I can't take clients on right now, I might go, look, I can't take people on right now, but if you're interested, I'm happy to talk to you because I've maybe got a bit of a freer diary. And then that sets me up for later on. But that gives me this constant movement. If you don't observe Parkinson's law, if you don't actually be aware of it, it'll catch you out. And that's how you end up procrastinating, wasting a lot of time. So we talk about separating the day and we talk about Parkinson's law. So how do we put this into effect? By using a default diary. Now, why is a default diary important? A default diary for me allows me to, as I go through my day, there are things that are always set in place. There are things that I know are non-negotiable. You can't not do them. So the gym is in there. The content is in there. Everything in my diary is set and it's in default except client meetings and or meetings in general. So discovery calls, podcasts, client meetings, consultancy meetings, things like that. All of those things are the only things that are not baked into the diary. Everything else is set as a default. Pro tip, actually stick to the diary. It's no great having the diary but then not doing anything with it. But if you stick to the diary, you'll do very well. Everything is just on repeat. Everything. If you looked at my diary, it would just say, it'll say stuff like, literally take the dog for a walk. Like I have everything in there and I live by my diary. And at the beginning, it was a bit uncomfortable. As somebody who is ADHD, dyslexic, does not like to be told what to do, I hated it. But I tell you what, my life runs like clockwork now. And like I said, I never feel stressed, I never feel overwhelmed. And I'm blown away by what I'm able to achieve all the time. Like all the time. And that sounds slightly big-headed, but it is that concept. I'm always like, how on earth did I get this stuff done in such a short amount of time? All of this stuff requires a bit of time at the beginning, at the front to make it work. But once it works, you're cooking with gas. The next thing I want to talk about, which is a great time saver for mortgage advisors, is utilizing Calendly links. This is a booking link. So it allows people to book into your diary. Many of you listen to this will already use these and know about these, but some of you might not. It stops you having to go back and forth with people going, when are you free? I'm free at this time. Are you free at this time? I had it recently with something, which was with an organization. They were like, can we arrange a time for us to meet? And we all had to send each other links to try and arrange a time. And it's just so clunky. Whereas actually just sending someone a link and saying, hey, here's my availability. Can you book in when you get a chance? Or when it works for you? Instantly, you don't have to think about it again. And this is one thing I use every day, but I recommend my clients use, and they do use, is this idea of it's set and forget. Someone wants to work with you, there it is, there's the link, it's on them. You might have a follow-up to remind yourself to follow them up 2, 3, 4 days, maybe a week later, and go, hey, did you get a chance to book in? I haven't seen it in the diary. Oh no, I haven't. You move them again. The great thing about Calendly links as well is they can be mini fact finds. So they'll get a load of information about the client, who you know how much they earn. You can have up to 10 questions on there. So you can have this. Not only does it save you time in the actual booking of it, so you don't have to go back and forth, and they're now booking into your diary in the times you asked. So they don't say, oh, I can't do Saturday. Can you do Monday night at midnight? They're not doing that. It's, here's my availability. Cool. If you decided you want to take the day off to take your daughter to the zoo or whatever, then guess what? You just block it out. They don't know that's what you're doing. It just looks like you're busy. Then the idea of being able to have the mini fact find on there again gives you so much more information that when you jump onto those discovery calls, you'll be able to spend less time doing the basic fact find stuff, and so you can get more into the advice and the best bit of the actual bit of the job. It's great. But on top of Calendly, what you can now use is Calendly's routing system. So routing system is an enhanced version of Calendly, which allows you to ask pre-questions before they get into the actual diary. And so you can have a system, a routing system that uses what they call logic. It's all built into Calendly. Look for the word routing. And what you'll find is when you go into it, it will actually say and show, you can build these questions out, and these questions then become like a qualifying thing. If they answer a certain level of questions correct, let's say you want to send them to a first-time buyer link because they're a first-time buyer, you can do that. And then you can get first-time buyer specific questions. Or you can maybe send them to a remortgage link or whatever it may be. Or if there's somebody who's a first-time buyer, they've got no deposit, you can't work with them, you can redirect them and say, sorry, I can't work with you right now, but here's a guide for first-time buyers to save a deposit, download it here, and then they put into a marketing list. But you're not wasting your time having to say, I've just done an hour appointment with somebody and gone, yeah, they can't do anything. And there's a myth in the mortgage space, this idea of, oh, but every call is a good call and you might need them in 2 years, 3 years. That's a myth. That's just not true. That's bad time management. And by the way, I did this. That's why I'm saying this. I don't do it now. If people speak to me on discovery calls, they're pretty well qualified now. I'm not going to speak to somebody who's just qualified and gone and be like, hey, yeah, I need you to be making 6 figures to work with me or close to, and you've just qualified in your CMAP. Like, I love and respect those. I make a lot of content for them, but I'm not ready. You're not ready for me yet. Go and use this thing and then come back when you're ready. And that saves my time. It allows me to focus my time on work with people I want to work with and can work with, not that I want to, that I do work with. And it allows me to stay on top of my diary management, which is exactly the same for yourself. The amount of advisors I speak to who are wasting time with trash clients for their bad situation right now. If you have a good nurturing system in place, if you redirect them, they'll come back again. It's not that they're trash forever. They're just trash right now. You can't be doing that. It's a massive time sink. And do you know who does these the most? TikTok advisors. And I've worked with a few and I work with some still. And they're great guys. But we have to do a lot of changing this stuff because the TikTok stuff is just a time wasting machine. There's so much time wasted on there. It's ridiculous. I can't get over it. The next point I want to talk about on this one is task management. I use Microsoft To Do, and it's using a task list that I can use every day that tells me what I need to do. And so some of these things are set up as repeatable. So every day I need to do one video, one this. It's a list of things. Some of these things are things I've set where if I need to do something for a client and I say, I'll come back to you in 3 months or whatever, I can write it in. And this task management on my phone, I just look at my phone every morning like a hotbox. Traditionally, we used to use hotboxes in mortgage services when I was an advisor. It's like that. I open my task management tool, which is on my iPad, on my phone, on my computer. I just open it up and bang, there's everything I need to do. And it's all there. I just have to clear that list. And that list has to be done that day, or I can move any tasks that weren't, I can move them to the next day. But it gives me a list of things to do. Diary management and time management is important, but overlooked is always this task management. Because if you're managing your time really well, but you're not actually getting the stuff done, then you won't move the needle forward. And the final point I'll say for this episode is create SOPs. So create standard operating procedures. SOPs are the lifeblood to what I do, meaning I'm a process. Standard operating procedures or processes, standard operating processes, I live and breathe by them. In fact, it's what has made me successful, and it's what I actually do with advisors now, less so about marketing, even though marketing is just a standard operating procedure that we created. As my career has grown, we've moved more and more into doing SOPs for everything, and I love it so much. But SOPs will change the way your business operates and the way you operate. Because if you can do something once, and this is where I think the thing that goes hard with it, if you can spend 2-3 hours on something and make it great and then systemize it so that you can spend 10 minutes on it later on, it's worth it. And these SOPs stack, and that's how you're able to get more time back. The reason I'm able to make so much content as a one-man band, there's no one else with me. I don't have an admin, I don't have a VA, it's just me. Everything you see, every piece of contact from me was made by me, written by me, sent by me, everything is me. And all of it is done through SOPs. And I still only spend about 2 hours a day on my marketing and outreach and branding and stuff. There are so many things in your business that could be turned into an automation. And automation in yourself doesn't have to be automated by a computer. It can just be, okay, cool. If I know that I have a templated folder that has everything in it already set up, then I can just copy and paste that folder and then write the client's name, and then I can just chuck those things in. Great, done. That's all. That's a SOP. If I've got Fathom note taking, I know the notes then go into a OneNote, and the OneNote stores everything we've ever spoke about. Every time someone comes in and goes to a OneNote, great, standard operating procedure. If you know you make content, great, I make content in this format: hook, intro, point 1, point 2, point 3, outro. Awesome. When you make content, write that, write the hook, write the intro, write the 1.1, point 2, point 3, write the outro. Easy. Content becomes really easy to do. There's a structure in place to go, this is what I said. That's how you're able to make content at speed. SOPs will get you time back because you'll stop wasting time on things when you're trying to be creative. If you enjoyed this episode, check out my other show that I made where I talked about how to generate leads for free as a mortgage broker. If you love this one, you'll love this one too.